Make a move. Make a move. That's how they could avoid it. They have to. I mean, when you look at all the top teams around the Western Conference, they have a third star, a third playmaker. And I understand we want Austin Reeves to be that guy, but he's not providing what you need him to provide. And when LeBron James don't have it going at the point forward position, who else can you put in place to make that team go? They don't have that.
I think the Lakers have reached that spot, Malika, because they're now 39 games into the season. They're under 500. They've seen what this team can do. And importantly, I know that they've had some injuries to role players. AD and LeBron have generally been healthy the whole way. This is then those guys basically have full power. Starting on Monday, their full roster is tradable. I think you will see the Lakers move into a new phase and look to find a deal. That doesn't mean they're going to get one, but I think they will attempt to look into trying to find a deal after Monday.
But is there a player that they need?
So I know everyone's been talking about Zach LaVine. I think his salary is a challenge. I also think that the Lakers want a guy who can play at both ends of the court. So I would think that I don't think Zach LaVine's going to be the answer. I think the Lakers are keeping an eye on Dejounte Murray with the Atlanta Hawks. That's not going to be a simple trade to pull off. It's going to be expensive. Dejounte Murray, however, would give them that guard who plays at both ends and would take some of the ball. He's not a pure point guard, but he could take some of the ball handling pressure off LeBron James.
Atlanta's ready to trade Dejounte Murray. They have given some time to the Trae Young, Dejounte Murray backcourt. I think they're ready to move on from it. Dejounte Murray is the player that they're engaged around the league with, and they have talked to the Lakers. They've exchanged some ideas on a potential trade, but they're engaged with a lot of teams. They gave up a lot for Dejounte Murray. They gave up 2 of their own first-round picks, a pick swap, and a third first-round pick that they had control of. They want to get some value back for him. So you look at that Lakers roster, and you see what of value do they have that can compete in the marketplace. I think there's lots of teams interested in him. The question is, how much are they willing to give up for Murray? When you're this far out from the trade deadline, usually you're not getting people's best yet. And so I think the Lakers are going to be in this, but there are a number of teams interested, but I do think the chances of him moving before the deadline are very, very high.
And let me be very, very clear. There's no player out there, whether it's Zach LaVine, Dejounte Murray, I don't know the status of DeMar DeRozan or Pascal Siakam, that's going to help elevate the Lakers to a title contender. They're just going to help them compete in the playoffs, right? So it's not going to be like it's a player out there that they can go grab and all of a sudden they're going to become one of the favorites. No, I'm not saying that, but they're in the worst position right now, and they need to make something happen because the energy is bad. And see, what end up happening is when it's getting close to the trade deadline, right, and guys hear their name being thrown out there, it's hard to buy in. It's hard to give an organization everything that you have. I went through that when I was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? I had a heads up that, hey, Perk, you might be getting traded. We had 2 games before that, and it was hard for me to go out there and put my all into it.
But you also know the reality in the NBA. We can probably count on 2 hands the number of guys who are never really in trade talks. Everybody else in the league is, and that's the reality.
Well, and you were setting the market, Woj, and the reality for someone like Dejounte Murray. I guess my question, Brian, is can the Lakers afford to be outbid?
So, as Woj said, they got multiple first-round picks. They gave up multiple first-round picks to acquire Dejounte Murray. So you would have to think that any negotiation with the Lakers would include the 1 first-round pick that they have to trade. But I think the reason the Lakers, would be willing to do something like that is that they've decided they've been playing LeBron at point guard these last handful of games, and his production level has gone down. It's very taxing, as you know, Perk, to get out for LeBron to be out there and play point guard. And his numbers have slipped a little bit. And so, they don't have D'Angelo Russell in the starting lineup. They don't have Austin Reeves in the starting lineup. They've got LeBron in the starting lineup, and you look and see right there, the way LeBron's numbers are affected. So to have another guard, I think, is a priority. The Hawks did sign Murray to a contract extension before the season, but the contract extension was viewed around the league as a reasonable extension. It would not be like Zach LaVine, where that would be like a contract that would be a little bit of a cumbersome. So I think that there's a number of reasons why Dejounte Murray fits, but as Woj says, a lot of people might feel that way.
Yeah, and I think you talked about the draft pick. It would almost assuredly have to be in a deal for Dejounte Murray. I think the question for the Lakers, if they really want to upgrade their roster, are they willing to put Reeves in a deal. And I think on his contract, I think there's a sense of, they'd like to do everything they can to hold on to him because you create another hole if you do trade him. And so whether he would go to Atlanta or whether it might be a bigger deal, there's always 3 and 4 team discussions going on. I think that's going to be the moment of truth for Rob Pelinka and the Lakers at the trade deadline. I think without putting Reeves in a deal, I think it's harder to get back the kind of difference maker Perk's talking about.
Let's bring Zach Lowe into this discussion. Zach, as you're listening to all this, is there a move that you like the most for the Lakers?
I think Dejounte Murray would be a great fit, but I think Woj just nailed it. If I'm the Atlanta Hawks, I'm asking the Lakers, why am I taking any deal you can offer me that doesn't have Austin Reeves in it? And if I'm the Lakers, I'm saying, wait, we just re-signed Austin Reeves to a great contract. That's kind of a lateral move for us. And so then you start to think bigger. And I had an executive from another team spitball with me yesterday. Could the Lakers, if Reeves is involved, construct a bigger deal where they get Dejounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic, the sharpshooter they so badly need? Now, that's got to include Rui Hachimura and or D'Angelo Russell, more draft compensation, Jordan Hood-Schifino. It just starts to get super complicated, particularly with the Lakers already over the tax and near the hard cap, as Bobby Marks reminded me. These deals, the more players you add to them, the harder they are to construct. But for a player of Dejounte Murray's caliber, I think the Hawks are rightfully going to say, we need Austin Reeves, and the Lakers are going to say, ugh, that doesn't seem awesome for us. It's a tough spot because, look, I've said it all season. Their offense stinks. They're 24th in offensive efficiency, and they ain't going anywhere as long as that's the case.
They sound.
I feel like that trade deadline coming up, you've got a certain amount of time to show management to keep things together, or they might have to make some major decisions.
We have a standard that's pretty evident that if things stay the same, that's a definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
I mean, Steph sounds like he's ready for something to change. Woj, are the Warriors ready to make a move before the trade deadline?
Yeah, you never hear Steph Curry talk that way, ever talk that way, and that carries a lot of weight. And certainly these conversations go on behind closed doors, but you don't ever hear that publicly. But this is a Golden State team organization. They are open to just about everything, and I don't think there's ever been a period during this run you could say that. But I think outside of Steph Curry, I think this is a front office and an ownership group that is willing to talk about anything out there and is open to anything. And, they have hard decisions to make between now and the trade deadline, but they still want to figure out a way to put a contender around Steph Curry while he's still playing at the level he is. They've not played like a contender yet at all. But Draymond Green coming back, they still have some more time to see what it might look like.
Yeah.
But I think change is coming to some degree in Golden State.
Even, Brian, walking around arenas, opposing executives are kind of pontificating out loud. What is the best path forward for Golden State?
Well, they're a little bit hamstrung because their payroll is so enormously high, and that makes some things difficult both now and in the future. I would just say that while I do think that they're going to look to change something on this roster, the way that they get back to being the level that they can be is by getting their star players to play like star players again. Getting Draymond Green back, getting that two-man game back with Steph Curry, getting Klay Thompson back to himself, getting Andrew Wiggins, if they retain him, to start rebounding and defending like he did. That's going to be the key. Yes, they may go and look to add something to try to help them, and obviously get Chris Paul back hopefully later in the season. There's not a magic trade. There's not a player that you're going to make a deal for that's all of a sudden going to come and make them the team they were 2 years ago.
I don't know about that. I like a potential Pascal Siakam trade. The Warriors definitely need a number 2 scorer. He could be that. He's had a great season. And to do that, though, it's going to hit you. Like, you're probably going to have to trade Kuminga to do that. Wiggins, I was told by a GM that there's not a lot of value for Wiggins right now, although you could package him and Kuminga together. You could package Kuminga and CP to make it happen. But the Warriors desperately need to make a trade, and that's one of them that they could do.
Pascal Siakam is going to have a lot of voice about where he gets traded because he's going to be a free agent this summer. And so if you are trading for Pascal Siakam, you have to be ready to max him out. You got to know that he wants to be there. And you have to have a package out there that makes sense for Toronto. I do think, listen, they've been engaged for really a couple of years on Siakam. I think they're getting because he could walk at the end of the season, they've not gotten anywhere on doing an extension together. I think for the Warriors, the risk is, okay, what do we want to do with our payroll? Are we willing to max out Pascal Siakam? Because there are teams with cap space this summer that are going to be willing to do it. You know, a team like Indiana, it's going to be really interesting because if you're looking at the next 5 years or next 4 years for Pascal Siakam and the chance to play, let's say, with a Tyrese Halliburton and the group they have in Indiana, they have the cap space. If you're the Pacers who've been engaged with Toronto on this, you know, you don't have to necessarily go out and give the really good young players that Masai Ujiri would love to get, Jarris Walker for one, or a Ben Mathurin, because you have the flexibility to know, hey, we can give this guy a max deal this summer without moving anything around. The Warriors do have interest in Pascal. You're right, Mark. I think it's a difficult pathway because he's going to have a lot of say about where he goes.
They're going to have to find out something.
Have interest as well.
They're going to have to figure out something, though, because we're talking about Steph Curry putting something, not necessarily with Pascal, but something to put a team around an all-time great that gets him back into the. We're talking about the playoff picture. We're not even talking about about a contender.
And guess what? Everyone wants to play with Steph Curry. So if Golden State was to pursue and go out there and get Pascal Siakam, it wouldn't be for a short-term rental because you wouldn't have to convince him to stay in Golden State because everyone wants to play with Steph.
If they all want to get paid.
Yeah, but listen, here's the thing, right? You may have to give up a contract like an Andrew Wiggins. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with Klay Thompson this offseason.
And to your point, Golden State has shown that they're not scared to pay.
And we don't know what's going to happen with Klay Thompson.
I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The Warriors can get outbid for Pascal Siakam, and the other teams are willing to pay Pascal Siakam more. They're in a bad position.
Well, you don't make the trade unless he wink.
Okay, but let me say this to you. Since did y'all listen to Klay Thompson post game? Right? Didn't it sound like a guy that's exhausted with the organization? They asked him, the question was asked about the fans booing. Klay Thompson's response was, am I supposed to lose any sleep tonight? Like, is that a response from a champion, a guy that didn't won 4 championships, a winner that wants to be part of the organization? Hell no. That sounds like a guy that is frustrated and needs a change of scenery. So while we're sitting up here talking about the cap space and whether or not they're going to have the money, they might just have the money because Klay Thompson might be off the books. So they might want to move Klay Thompson before it's too late, before they lose him for nothing.
I know that Mike Dunleavy will do the work. I know that Joe Lacob will find money.
You do know?
The cavalry is not coming. Maybe they'll make a move around the edges to help him out, but the cavalry is not coming. It's got to be Steph Curry. It's got to be Draymond Green. It's got to be Klay Thompson. Those are the guys that got the banners up there. That's the chance that they have.
You know what's crazy is that every single day we talk about Golden State, it's like reading a damn book that says true story, right? This book is a true story. And we open it up and we just want to believe that it's fiction. The writing is on the damn wall. They are done. They have to break up the band. How many times do I have to say this?
You don't shovel dirt on a dynasty before, we've said this before, the final embers have burned.
Well, one GM told me there is interest in Draymond as well.
I mean, but a 4-year, $100 million contract, moving that just seems, but.
Yeah, there is interest in Draymond Green. They're not ready to go there yet. Let's let him get back and play. Listen, this all could look a lot different in a couple of weeks when Draymond Green comes back. They have played a lot of close games. They've lost a lot of close games. I know what it looked like the other night, and we've seen at times this year, but the group they have on the floor is certainly not good enough. They're going to get players back here. Chris Paul is about a month out, and Draymond Green can make a big impact.
Yeah.
Certainly it's going to be up to him.
Well, Draymond Green, there is no player, maybe, that impacts Steph Curry and frees Steph Curry like Draymond Green does. And that's what you were calling for, free Steph. But Draymond Green, the expectation is that sometime on this 4-game road trip that he is going to return. And they're in Chicago tonight. It's part of a tough trip that they have going on here. According to ESPN Analytics, Perk, the matchup predictor, the only game Golden State is expected to win Monday. That one's against the Grizzlies.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. It is almost January 15th. almost January 15th. Now, why is that such an important date? Because as of January 15th, anyone that you signed in the summer can be officially traded. Now, fast forward to the LA Lakers, who lost last night. Let's just face it, they suck, right? And I know what you're saying. They beat the Clippers, blah, 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 whatever, right? They suck. Will they make the playoffs? Yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs, but they will not be anything remotely close to a championship contender. Not with this group. So now the rumor is Dejounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks, who the Hawks gave up a lot to get Dejounte Murray from the Spurs, and now rightfully so, they want a lot to trade for him, right? They want a lot. So now the Lakers are the hottest rumor right now to get Dejounte Murray. But you got to give up Austin Reeves. That's what the rumor is. You got to give up Austin Reeves. Now, this could go either way because the Lakers don't want to give him up, and they possibly could say, give me Bogdanovic, the shooter that the Lakers desperately need. If that's the case, you got to throw in Rui Hachimura or D'Angelo Russell. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but that is the rumor. LA Lakers want Dejounte Murray, right? They want Dejounte Murray, but that's not the only team that wants him. You got and these are just rumors, you got the teams like the 76ers, the Suns, the Knicks, they all want Murray. So it could be a bidding war for Dejounte Murray and the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks are sitting pretty well right now, even though they're not doing any sort of damage in the Eastern Conference, because you got teams out there that are just far too good and play way better than the Atlanta Hawks right now. So that is the rumor for Dejounte Murray. Lakers want him. Now let's move over to the other team in California that sucks as well, the Golden State Warriors. Now, Golden State Warriors got blown out twice in the past 7 days, I believe it is. They got to do something. Steph Curry came up with this quote. He said, that's the definition of insanity, right? You do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And he's 100% right. So what's he trying to say? You don't hear him talk in that way. What is he trying to say? He's saying, make a freaking trade. He's saying, make a freaking trade. So now, the hottest rumor in Golden State is Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam, could he sign with the Golden State Warriors? Well, sure he can, right? Who wouldn't want to play with Steph Curry? But it's going to take a lot to get him. And Masai Ujiri, he's got his eyes on, I know they want to trade Andrew Wiggins, right? Canadian, bring him back to Toronto, that's cool. But they want Kuminga. And can they get that deal done? Pascal Siakam for Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins. I have no idea, but that could play fairly well. However, Pascal Siakam has to sign off on this trade because any team that he goes to has to have the assurance that he's going to sign with him long term because he's a free agent. So that's Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors. Okay, so let's talk about Pascal Siakam and the Toronto Raptors. They could trade him to Golden State, but then again, they could trade him to the Indiana Pacers. Indiana is a very good team. Now, as Woj mentioned, why would the Indiana Pacers want to trade their young pieces to get Pascal Siakam when, if this deal doesn't go through and he does in fact become a free agent, they could just sign him to a max deal in the summertime and not lose any of their pieces. So that's quite the dilemma for the Indiana Pacers. Are you willing to risk a couple young pieces to get Pascal Siakam, or could you possibly wait till the summer if he's a free agent and sign him then? We have no idea. Either way you look at it, Pascal Siakam and Toronto Raptors are parting ways, because at the end of the day, Toronto Raptors do not want a repeat of the Fred VanVleet disaster in Toronto, right? I said they got to trade this guy. Do not let him walk. And what happens? Masai Ujiri dropped the ball and let him walk. Got nothing for him. So those are two rumors right there. Now keep your eyes on the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets have a lot of wings. They need players, right? They need, so look out for them to make an actual trade. They have the assets. They have tons of assets. They have tons of draft picks. And, OKC Thunder, they got a lot of picks. Everybody knows this. Can they make a deal for a veteran player? They're playing pretty phenomenal. So, what are the OKC Thunder going to do? Obviously, you want to expect Philadelphia 76ers to do something, because you got all these expiring deals coming up and all these picks. You want to ensure that they actually can get to the finals. And I believe they can if they pull off the right deal. That's a big if, right? Because you got Boston, you got the Bucks. Never count out the Miami Heat. Miami Heat will knock you down any time of the week, right? That's how strong Miami is in the playoffs. So do not count on Miami Heat. Speaking of Miami Heat, they're another team that probably wants Dejounte Murray. So more on the trade front in the next couple weeks, obviously, as we grow closer to February 8th. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think about these trades. Dejounte Murray to the Lakers, Austin Reeves to the Atlanta Hawks. Then you have Pascal Siakam either to Indiana Pacers, or the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins to Toronto Raptors. Again, I'm going to stress this to you guys. These are just rumors. They're not official. They're not taking place, right? Don't read me the wrong way. These are just rumors that I've heard and people have told me of what's going to happen. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think about this. This is Jag from Jaggy Sports.